TTC, in association with Trinity Theatre, presents The Reduced Recruiting Officer by George Farquar, adapted and directed by Kirrie Wratten. Tunbridge Wells, 1706.
If any gentlemen soldiers, or others, have a mind to serve Her Majesty and pull down the French King, if any prentices have severe masters, any children have undutiful parents, if any servants have too little wages, or any husband too much wife, let them repair to the noble Sergeant Kite, at the sign of the compasses, in this good town at Tunbridge Wells, and they shall receive present relief and entertainment.
By the Grenadier March, that should be my drum. Let me see. 4 o'clock. Oh, at 8:30 I left London. 30 miles in 7.5 hours. It's pretty smart riding, but nothing to the fatigue of recruiting.
Welcome to Tunbridge Wells, noble captain. From the banks of the Danube to the Chalybeate Spring, noble captain, you're welcome.
A very elegant reception indeed, Mr. Kite. I find you have fairly entered into your recruiting strain. Pray, what success?
I've been here but a week, and I've recruited 5.
5? Pray, what are they?
I've listed the strong man of Kent, king of the gypsies, a Scotch pedlar, a scoundrel attorney, and a Welsh parson.
An attorney? Wert thou mad? List a lawyer? Discharge him this minute.
Why, sir?
Because I will have nobody in my company that can write. A fellow that can write can draw petitions. I say this minute, discharge him.
And what shall I do with the parson?
Keep him, by all means. But how stands the country affected? Were the people pleased with the news of my coming to town?
Sir, the mob are so pleased with your honour, and the justices and better are so delighted with me, and we shall soon do our business. But sir, you have got a recruit here that you think little of.
Who?
You remember your old friend Molly at the castle?
She's not with child, I hope.
Oh, no, sir. She was brought to bed yesterday.
Kite, you must father the child.
Oh, her friends will oblige me to marry the mother.
If they should, we'll take her with us. She can wash, and make a bed upon occasion.
Aye, make it upon occasion. But your honour knows that I'm married already.
To how many?
No, I can't tell readily. I'll set them down here upon the back of my muster roll. Let me see. Mrs. Shelley Snicker Eyes, she sells potatoes upon Ormond Quay in Dublin. Peggy Guzzle, the brandy woman at the Horse Guard at Whitehall. Dolly Wagon, the carrier's daughter in Hull. Mademoiselle Van Bottom Flat at the Bus. Then Jenny Oakham, the ship carpenter's widow at Portsmouth. But I don't reckon upon her, for she was married at the same time to 2 lieutenants of Marines, and a man of war's boatswain.
A full company. You have named 5. Come, make them half a dozen, Kite. Is the child a boy or a girl?
A lively boy.
Then set the mother down in your list and the boy in mine. Enter him a grenadier by the name of Francis Kite, absent upon furlough. I'll allow you a man's pay for his subsistence. And now go comfort the wench in the straw.
I shall, sir. But yonder comes your friend, Mr. Worthy.
'Tis indeed the picture of Worthy, but the life's departed. What, arms across, Worthy? Methinks you should hold them open when a friend's so near. I must expel this melancholy spirit.
Plume, my dear captain, welcome. Safe and sound returned.
I escaped safe from Germany, and sound, I hope, from London. You see, I have lost neither leg, arm, nor nose, and I have an excellent stomach for roast beef.
Thou art a happy fellow. Once I was so.
What ails thee, man? No inundations nor earthquakes in Wales, I hope. Has your father rose from the dead and reassumed his estate?
No.
Then you are married, surely.
No, I must out with it. Now your once gay, roving friend is dwindled into an obsequious, thoughtful, romantic, constant coxcomb.
And pray, what is all this for?
For a woman.
Shake hands, brother. Behold me, as obsequious, as thoughtful, and as constant a coxcomb as your worship.
For whom?
For a regiment! But for a woman's death. I have been constant to 15 at a time, but never melancholy for one. And can the love of one bring you into this pickle? Pray, who is this miraculous Helen?
Helen indeed. As great a beauty, and not to be won under a 10 years' siege.
But who is she? Do I know her?
Oh, very well.
Impossible. I know no woman that will hold out a 10 years' siege.
What think you of Melinda?
Melinda? Why, she began to capitulate this time 12th and offered to surrender upon honourable terms, and I advised you to propose a settlement of £500 a year to her before I went last abroad.
I did, and she hearkened to it, desiring only 1 week to consider, when, beyond her hopes, the town was relieved, and I forced to turn my siege into a blockade.
Explain.
My Lady Richley, her aunt in Flintshire, dies and leaves her at this critical time with £20,000.
Oh, the devil! What a delicate woman was there spoiled! But, by the rules of war now, Worthy, after such a convoy of provisions was entered the place, you could have no thought of reducing it by famine. You should have redoubled your attacks, taken the town by storm, or have died upon the breach.
I did make one general assault, but I was so vigorously repulsed that, despairing of ever gaining her for a mistress, I have altered my conduct and caught her now for a wife.
So, she grow haughty, and because you approached her as a goddess, she used you like a dog.
Exactly.
'Tis the way of them all. Come, Worthy, you must not think to surmount her pride by your humility. Let me see. The very first thing I would do should be to lie with her chambermaid and hire 3 or 4 wenches in the neighbourhood to report that I'd got them with child. 'Tis a maxim among recruiting officers to leave as many recruits in the country as they carry out.
Oh, nobody doubts your goodwill, noble captain, in serving your country with your best blood. Oh, witness our friend Molly at the castle. Oh, there have been tears in town about that business, Captain.
I hope Sylvia has not heard of it.
I began to fancy you had forgot poor Sylvia.
Your affairs had put mine quite out of my head. 'Tis true, Sylvia and I had once agreed to go to bed together, could we have adjusted preliminaries. But she would have had the wedding before consummation, and I was for consummation before the wedding. We could not agree. She was a pert, obstinate fool, and would lose her maidenhead her own way. I love Sylvia. I admire her frank, generous disposition. There's something in that girl more than woman. In short, were I once a general, I would marry her.
Faith, you have reason. For were you but a corporal, she would marry you.
Oh, Captain, a word in your ear.
You may speak out. Here are none but friends.
You know, sir, that you sent me to comfort the good woman in the straw, Mrs. Molly. My wife, Mr. Worthy.
Oh, very well. I wish you joy, Mr. Kite.
Your Welship very well may. For I've both a wife and a child in half an hour. But as I was saying, you sent me to comfort Mrs. Molly. My wife, I mean. But what do you think, sir? She was better comforted before I came?
As how?
Why, sir, a footman in blue livery had brought her 10 guineas to buy her baby clothes.
Who in the name of wonder could send them?
Oh, no, sir. I must whisper that. Miss Sylvia.
Sylvia. Generous
Impossible.
creature.
Here be the guineas, sir. I took the gold as part of my wife's portion. Nay, further, sir. She sent word the child should be taken all imaginable care of, and she intended to stand godmother. The same footman, as I was coming to you with this news, called after me, and told me that his lady would speak with me. I went, and upon hearing that you were to come to town, she gave me half a guinea for the news, and ordered me to tell you that, just as balance, her father, who has just come out of the country, will be glad to see you.
There's a girl for you, Worthy. 'Tis noble and generous, manly friendship. Show me another woman that would lose an inch of her prerogative that way, without tears, fits, and reproaches. The common jealousy of her sex she despises, and can part with the lover though she dies for the man. Oh, come, Worthy, where's the best wine? For there I'll quarter. Mr. Kite, wait on the lady with my humble service, and tell her I shall only refresh a little, and wait upon her.
Hold, Kite. Have you seen the other recruiting captain?
No, sir.
Another? Who is he?
Oh, my rival in the first place, and the most unaccountable fellow. But I'll tell you more as we go.
Welcome to town, cousin Sylvia. I envied you your retreat in the country, for Tunbridge Wells methinks is a most irregular place for living. Here we have smoke, noise, scandal, affectation and pretension, nothing to divert us, and the air is intolerable.
Oh, madam, I have heard the town commended for its air.
But you don't consider, Sylvia, how long I have lived in it. For I can assure you that to a lady the least nice in her constitution, no air can be good above half a year. Change of air I take to be the most agreeable of any variety in life.
As you say, cousin Melinda, there are several sorts of airs.
I talk only of the air we breathe, or more properly of that we taste. Have not you, Sylvia, found a vast difference in the taste of airs?
Taste air? You might as well tell me I may feed on air. But prithee, my dear Melinda, don't put on such an air to me. Your education and mine were just the same, and I remember the time we never troubled our heads about air, but when the sharp air made our noses drop in a cold morning at school.
Our education, cousin, was the same, but our temperaments had nothing alike. You have the constitution of a horse.
So far as to be troubled with neither colic nor vapours, I can gallop all morning after the hunting horn, and can do everything with my father, but drink and shoot flying. And I'm sure I can do everything my mother could, were I put to the trial.
You're in a fair way of being put to it, for I'm told your captain has come to town.
Aye, Melinda, he is come, and I'll take care he shan't go without a companion.
How poor romantic. Hast thou the vanity to imagine that a young, sprightly officer that rambles over half the globe in half a year can confine his thoughts to the little daughter of a country justice in an obscure part of the world?
What care I for his thoughts? I should not like a man with confined thoughts. It shows a narrowness of soul. In short, Melinda, I think a petticoat a mighty simple thing, and I'm heartily tired of my sex.
Oh, my conscience, Sylvia. Hadst thou been a man, thou hadst been the greatest rake in Christendom.
I should endeavour to know the world, which a man can never do thoroughly without 100 friendships and as many amours. But now I think on it, how stands your affair with Mr. Worthy?
He's my aversion.
Oh, you should not use that honest fellow so inhumanely. He's a gentleman of parts and fortune. And beside that, he's my Plume's friend, and by all that's sacred, if you don't use him better, I shall expect satisfaction.
Satisfaction? You begin to fancy yourself in breeches in good earnest. But to be plain with you, I like Worthy the worse for being so intimate with your captain, for I take him to be a loose, idle, unmannerly coxcomb.
Oh, you never saw him, perhaps, since you were mistress of £20,000. You only knew him when you were capitulating with Worthy for a settlement, which perhaps might encourage him to be a little loose and unmannerly with you.
What do you mean, madam?
My meaning needs no interpretation, madam.
Better it had, madam, for methinks you're too plain.
If you mean the plainness of my person, I think your ladyship as plain as me to the full.
Were I assured of that, I should be glad to take up with a rake-helly officer as you do. If you kept in your own house, I should have excused you.
Don't be troubled, madam. I shan't desire to have my visit returned.
The sooner, therefore, you make an end of this, the better.
I'm easily advised to follow my inclinations. So, madam, your humble servant...
Pray, Mr. Balance, how does your fair daughter?
Ah, Captain Plume, what is my daughter to a Marshal of France? We're upon a nobler subject. I want to have a particular description of the Battle of Blenheim.
The battle, sir, was a very pretty battle, as anyone should desire to see. But pray, sir, How does Miss Sylvia?
Still upon Sylvia? For shame, Captain. You're engaged already. Wedded to the war. Victory is your mistress, and it is below a soldier to think of any other.
As a mistress, I confess. But as a friend, Mr. Balance.
Come, Captain. Never mince the matter. Would you not seduce my daughter if you could?
Sir, I hope she's not to be seduced.
Oh, faith, but she is, sir, and any woman in England of her age and complexion by a man of your youth and vigour. Once I was young, and once an officer as you are, and I can guess at your thoughts now by what mine were then, and I remember very well that I would have given one of my legs to have deluded the daughter of an old, plain, country gentleman, as like me, as I was then like you.
But, sir, was that country gentleman your friend and benefactor?
Not much of that.
There the comparison breaks. The favours,
If I have done you any service, Captain, 'twas to please myself, for I love thee. And if I could part with my girl, you should have her as soon as any young fellow I know. But I hope you have more honour than to quit the service, and she more prudence than to follow the camp. But she's at her own disposal. She has £1,500 in her pocket, and so... Sylvia!
There are some letters, sir, come by the post from London. I left them upon your table in your closet.
And here is a gentleman from Germany. Captain, you'll excuse me. I'll go read my letters and wait on you.
Sir, you're welcome to England.
You are indebted to me a welcome, madam, since the hopes of receiving it from this fair hand was the principal cause of my seeing England.
I have often heard that soldiers were sincere. Shall I venture to believe public report?
You may, when 'tis backed by private insurance, for I swear, madam, by the honour of my profession, that whatever dangers I went upon, it was with the hope of making myself more worthy of your esteem, and if ever I had thoughts of preserving my life, 'twas for the pleasure of dying at your feet.
Well, you shall die at my feet, or where you will. But you know, sir, there is a certain will and testament to be made beforehand.
My will, madam, is made already, and there it is. And if you please to open that parchment, which was drawn the evening before the Battle of Blenheim, you will find whom I left my heir.
Miss Sylvia Balance. Well, Captain, this is a handsome and a substantial compliment. But I can assure you I am much better pleased with the bare knowledge of your intention than I should have been in the possession of your legacy. But methinks, sir, you should have left something to your little boy at the castle.
Oh, that's home! My little boy? Why, the girl, madam, is my sergeant's wife, and so the poor creature gave out that I was the father in hopes that my friend might support her in case of necessity. That was all, madam. My boy! No.
Madam, my master has received some ill news from London and desires to speak with you immediately. He begs the captain's pardon, that he can't wait on him as he promised.
Ill news? Heavens avert it. I'll leave you to comfort him. Be assured that if my life and fortune can be in any way serviceable to the father of my Sylvia, he shall freely command both.
The necessity must be very pressing that would engage me to endanger either.
Dr. Kilman acquaints me here that before this comes to my hands he fears I shall have no son. Oh, poor Owen! But the decree is just. I was pleased with the death of my father because he left me an estate, and now I am punished with the loss of an heir to inherit mine.
Whilst there is life, there is hope, sir. Perhaps my brother may recover.
Oh, we have but little reason to expect it. I must now look upon you as the only hopes of my family. I expect that the augmentation of your fortune will give you fresh thoughts and new prospects.
My desire of being punctual in my obedience requires that you would be plain in your commands, sir.
Well, the death of your brother makes you sole heiress to my estate, which you know is about £1,200 a year. Well, this fortune gives you a fair claim to quality and a title. You must set a just value upon yourself, and in plain terms, think no more of Captain Plume.
You have often commended the gentleman, sir.
Well, I do so still. He's a very pretty fellow. But though I liked him well enough for a bare son-in-law, I don't approve of him for an heir to my estate and family. What's my life? £1,200 a year would ruin him, quite turn his brain. A captain of the foot worth £1,200 a year? 'Tis a prodigy in nature.
Sir, here's one below with a letter for your worship, but he will deliver it into no hands but your own.
Oh, come, show me the messenger.
Oh, 'tis bad both ways. Follow my own inclinations and break my father's heart, or obey his commands and break my own. Worse and worse. A moderate fortune and a pretty fellow, or a fine estate and an ass. That will never do.
Put 4 horses into the coach.
Aye, sir.
Sylvia.
Sir?
How old were you when your mother died?
So young that I don't remember I ever had one. And you have been so careful, so indulgent to me since, that indeed I never wanted one.
Have I ever denied you anything you asked of me?
Never, that I remember.
Then, Sylvia, I must beg that once in your life you would grant me a favour.
Why should you question it, sir?
No, I don't, but I would rather counsel than command. I don't propose this with the authority of a parent, but as the advice of your friend, that you would take the coach this moment and go into the country.
Does this advice, sir, proceed from the contents of the letter you received just now?
No matter, I will be with you in 3 or 4 days and then give you my reasons. But before you go, I expect you will make me one solemn promise.
Propose the thing, sir.
That you will never dispose of yourself to any man without my consent.
I promise.
Very well. And to be even with you, I promise I will never dispose of you without your own consent. And so, Sylvia, the coach is ready. Farewell. Well, now she's gone, I'll examine the contents of this letter a little nearer. Sir, my intimacy with Mr. Worthy has drawn a secret from him that he had from his friend Captain Plume. And my friendship and relation to your family oblige me to give you timely notice of it. The captain has dishonourable designs upon my cousin Sylvia. Evils of this nature are more easily prevented than amended, and that you would immediately send my cousin into the country is the advice of your humble servant, Melinda. Why, the devil's in the young fellows of this age. They're 10 times worse than they were in my time. Well, had he made my daughter a whore and forswore it like a gentleman, I could have almost pardoned it. But to tell tales beforehand is monstrous. Hang it, I can fetch down a woodcock or a snipe. Why not a hat and feather? I've a case of good pistols, and I've a good mind to try. Oh, Worthy, your servant.
I'm sorry, sir, to be the messenger of ill news.
Well, you've heard my son Owen is past recovery.
My advices say he's dead, sir.
I'm satisfied. Oh, the strokes of heaven I can bear, but injuries from men, Mr. Worthy, are not so easily supported.
I hope, sir, that you're under no apprehension of wrong from anybody.
Well, you know I ought to be.
You wrong my honour, sir, in believing I could know anything to your prejudice without resenting it as much as you should.
This letter, sir, which I tear in pieces to conceal the person that sent it, informs me that Plume has a design upon Sylvia, and that you are privy to it.
Nay then, sir, I must do myself justice and endeavour to find out the author. Sir, I know the hand, and if you refuse to discover the contents, Melinda shall tell me.
Hold, sir, the contents I have told you already, only with this circumstance, that her intimacy with Mr. Worthy had drawn the secret from him.
Her intimacy with me? Dear sir, let me pick up the pieces of this letter. 'Twill give me such a hank upon her pride to have her own an intimacy under her hand. 'Twas the luckiest accident. The aspersion, sir, was nothing but malice, the effect of a little quarrel between her and Miss Sylvia.
Oh, are you sure of that, sir?
Her maid gave me the history of part of the battle just now. I hope, sir, your daughter has suffered nothing upon the account.
No. Poor girl. She was so afflicted with the news of her brother's death that to avoid company she begged to be gone into the country.
And is she gone?
Well, I could not refuse her. She was so pressing. The coach went from the door the minute before you came.
So pressing to be gone, sir. I find her fortune will give her the same airs with Melinda, and then Plume and I may laugh at one another.
Like enough. Women are as subject to pride as we are. But come, where is this young fella? I love him so well it would break the heart of me to think him a rascal. I'm glad my daughter's gone fairly off, though. Where does the captain quarter?
At the compasses. I'm to meet him there, and we should be glad of your company.
Oh, your pardon, dear worthy. I must allow a day or two to the death of my son.
Sir, your humble servant.
If any gentlemen soldiers, or others, have a mind to serve Her Majesty and pull down the French King, if any prentices have severe masters, any servants have too little wages, or any husband too much wife, let them repair to the noble Sergeant Kite.
I can't forbear admiring the equality of our two fortunes, Plume. We loved two ladies, they met us halfway, and just as we were upon the point of leaping into their arms, fortune drops into their laps. Pride possesses their hearts, a maggot fills their heads, madness takes them, and away they run.
And leaves us here to mourn upon the shore. A couple of poor, melancholy monsters. Oh, what shall we do, worthy?
I have a trick for mine. The letter, you know.
And I have a trick for mine.
What is it?
I'll never think of her again.
No!
No. I think myself above administering to the pride of any woman were she worth 12,000 a year, and I haven't the vanity to believe I shall ever gain a lady worth 1,200. The generous, good-natured Sylvia in her smock I admire, but the haughty, scornful Sylvia with her fortune I despise. To sneak out of town and not so much as a word, a line, a compliment, stat. How far off does she live? I'll go and break her windows.
Aye, and the window bars too to come at her. Come, friend. No more of your rough military airs.
Oh, Captain, sir, look yonder. She's coming this way. 'Tis the prettiest, cleanest little tit.
Now, worthy, to show you how much I'm in love, here she comes.
Buy chickens! Young and tender! Young and tender chickens!
Here, you, chickens.
Who calls?
Come hither, pretty maid.
Will you please to buy, sir?
Yes, child. We'll both buy.
Nay, worthy, that's not fair. Mark it for yourself. Come, child, I'll buy all you have.
Then all I have is at your service.
Then I must shift for myself, I find.
Let me see. Young and tender, you say?
As ever ye tasted in your life, sir.
Come, I must examine your basket to the bottom, my dear.
Or for that matter, put in your hand. Feel, sir. I warrant my ware as good as any in the market.
And I'll buy it all, child, were it 10 times more. We won't quarrel about the price, they're fine birds. Pray, what's your name, pretty creature?
Rose, sir. My father is a farmer within 3 short mile of the town. We keep this market. I sell chickens, eggs and butter, and my brother Rollock sells corn.
Oh, pretty Miss Rose. You have, let me see, how many?
A dozen, sir, and they are richly worth a crown.
Here's a guinea, my dear.
I can't change your money, sir.
Oh, indeed, but you can. My lodging is hard by, chicken, and we'll make change there.
Sergeant Kite, thou art the most useful fellow to your captain. Admirable in your way, I find.
Oh, yes, Mr. Worthy. I understand my business, I will say it. You must know, sir, I was born a gypsy, and bred among that crew till I was 10 years old. And there I learned canting and lying. I was brought from my mother, Cleopatra, by a certain nobleman who, liking my beauty, made me his page. And there I learned impudence and pimping. I was turned off for wearing my lord's linen, and then I turned bailiff's follower. and there I learned bullying and swearing. I at last got into the army, and there I learned whoring and drinking. So that if your worship pleases to cast up the whole sum, you will find a recruiting sergeant.
And pray, what induced you to turn soldier?
Hunger and ambition, the fears of starving and the hopes of a truncheon. But here comes Justice Balance.
Hear you, Sergeant. Where's your captain? There's a poor foolish fellow come clamouring to me with a complaint that your captain has pressed his sister. Do you know anything of this matter, Worthy?
I know his sister is gone with Plume to his lodgings to sell him some chickens.
Is that all? Well, the fellow's a fool. Sergeant, go along to your captain and give him my humble service, and desire him to discharge the wench, though he has listed her. We must get this mad captain his complement of men and send him a packing, else he'll overrun the country.
You see, sir, how little he values your daughter's disdain.
Oh, I like him the better. I was just such another fellow at his age. I never set my heart upon any woman as so much as to make me uneasy at the disappointment. But how goes your affair with Melinda?
Very slowly. Cupid had formerly wings, but I think in this age he goes upon crutches. My mistress has got a captain too, but such a captain. As I live, yonder he comes.
Who? Well, that fellow with the sash? I don't know him.
But I engage he knows you, and everybody at first sight. He has the most universal acquaintance of any man living, for he won't be alone, and nobody will keep him company twice. If he has but talked with the maid, he swears he has lain with the mistress. But the most surprising part of his character is his memory, which is the most prodigious and the most trifling in the world. Add but the traveller's privilege of lying, and even that he abuses. This is the picture. Behold, the life.
Mr. Worthy, I'm your servant and so forth. Harkye, my dear.
Whispering, sir, before company is not manners, and when nobody's by, 'tis foolish.
Company? Mortimer V. I beg the gentleman's pardon. Who is he?
Ask him.
Oh, so I will, my dear. I am your servant and so forth. Your name, my dear?
Very laconic, sir.
Laconic? Oh, a very good name, truly. I have known several of the laconics abroad. Poor Jack Laconic. He was killed in the Battle of London.
Pray, sir, did the French attack us, or we them at London?
Oh, the French attack us. Oh, no, sir. We attacked them. I have reason to remember the time, for I had 22 horses killed under me that day.
Then, sir, you must have rid mighty hard.
Or perhaps, sir, you rid upon half a dozen horses at once.
What do you mean, gentlemen? I tell you they were killed, torn to pieces by cannon shot.
Noble captain, may I crave your name?
Brazen, at your service.
Oh, Brazen, a very good name. I have known several of the Brazens abroad.
Do you know Captain Plume, sir?
Oh, is he anything related to Frank Plume in Northamptonshire? Honest Frank? Oh, you must have known his brother Charles. He married the daughter of old Tonguepad, the master in Chancery. A very pretty woman, only squinted a little. She died in childbed of her first child, but that child survived. This was a daughter, but whether it was called Margaret or Marjorie, upon my soul, I can't remember. But gentlemen, I must meet a lady, a 20,000-pounder, upon the walk by the spring. Worthy your servant, laconic yours.
If you can have so mean an opinion of Melinda as to be jealous of this fella, I think she ought to give you cause to be so.
I don't think she encourages him so much for gaining herself a lover as to set me up a rival. Were there any credit to be given to his words, I should believe Melinda had made him this assignation. I must go, sir, you'll pardon me.
Aye, aye, sir, you are a man of business.
Lavender's blue, dilly dilly, lavender's green.
But what have we got here?
And I shall be a lady. Oh, a captain's lady. And ride single upon a white horse with a star, upon a velvet side saddle, Oh, and I shall go to London and see the tombs and the lions and the Queen. Oh, sir, please, your worship, I have often seen your worship ride through a grounds a hunting, begging your worship's pardon. Pray, what may this lace be worth a yard?
Where did you get this lace, child?
Oh, no matter for that, sir. I come honestly by it.
I question it much.
And see here, sir, a fine turkey shell snuff box. See here. The captain learnt me how to take it with an air.
Oh, the captain! Now the murder's out. Oh, and so the captain taught you to take it with an air?
Yes, and give it with an air too. Will your worship please to taste my snuff?
Oh, you're a very apt scholar, pretty maid. And pray, what did you give the captain for these fine things?
He's to have my brother first soldier, and 2 or 3 sweethearts I have in the country. They shall all go with the captain. Oh, he's the finest man, and the humblest withal. Would you believe it, sir? He carried me up with him to his own chamber with as much familiarity as if I had been the best lady in the land.
Oh, he's a mighty familiar gentleman.
Oh, my maid with the milking pail. Oh, how the justice. Then I'm arraigned, condemned and executed.
Oh, my noble captain.
My noble captain too, sir.
Stith, child, are you mad? Oh, Mr. Balance, I am so full of business about my recruits that I hadn't a moment's time to... I just now have been with 3 or 4 people...
Captain, I must speak to you.
And so must I too, Cat.
Any other time, sir. I cannot for my life.
Pray, sir.
20,000 things I would, but now, sir, pray.
Nay,
Devil take me,
follow
I cannot.
you.
And I too.
I'd roll up all my compliments into one grand platoon and fire upon them at once. Though peerless princes of Kentish plains, envied by nymphs and worshipped by swains, Madam Melinda, I'm your humble servant and all that, madam. Do you love fishing, madam?
'Tis a pretty melancholy amusement for lovers.
Oh, I'll go by hooks and lines presently, for ye must know, madam, that I was never so much in love before, and split me, madam. In all the campaigns I ever made, I have not seen so fine a woman as your ladyship.
And from all the men I ever saw, I never had so fine a compliment. But you soldiers are the best bred men, that we must allow.
Some of us, madam, but there are brutes among us too, very sad brutes for my own part. I've always had the good luck to prove agreeable. I've had very considerable offers, madam. I might have married a German princess worth 50,000 crowns a year, but my time was not come. Hanging and marriage, you know, go by destiny. Fate has reserved me for a Kentish lady with £20,000. Do you know any such person, madam?
To be sure, a great many ladies of that fortune would be proud of the name of Mrs. Brazen. Oh, there goes Worthy. Come, Captain. We'll walk this way. Give me your hand.
My hand, heart's blood, and guts are at your service. Mr. Worthy, your servant, mother.
Death and fire! Oh, this is not to be borne.
No more it is, Faith.
What?
The March beer at the compasses. I have been doubly serving the Queen, raising men and raising the excise. Oh, recruiting and elections are rare friends to the excise.
You aren't drunk, Plume?
No, whimsical only. I could be mighty foolish and fancy myself mighty witty. Reason still keeps its throne, but it nods a little, that's all.
Well, then you're just fit for a frolic. Melinda sheered off with Captain Brazen just now, on purpose to affront me. But according to your advice, I would take no notice, because I would seem to be above a concern for her behaviour. Oh, but you must have a care of a quarrel.
No. I never quarrel with anything in my cups but an oyster wench or a cookmaid. But, my friend, I will make love, and I must make love. I tell you what, I'll make love like a platoon.
Platoon, how's that?
I'll kneel, stoop, and stand, Faith. Most ladies are gained by platooning.
Oh, here they come. I must leave you.
So, now must I look as sober and demure as a whore at a christening.
Who's that, madam?
A brother officer of yours, I suppose, sir.
Aye, my dear boy, how is it? Your name, my dear? Have I not been mistaken, I've seen your face.
Well, I've never seen yours in my life, my dear. But Miss Melinda's face is as well known as the sun's, that shines on all and is by all adored.
Have you any pretensions, sir?
Pretensions?
That is, sir. Have you ever served abroad?
I have served at home, sir, for ages, served this cruel fair lady, and that will serve the turn, sir.
So, between the fool and the rake, I shall bring a fine spot of work upon my hands. I see worthy yonder. I could be content to be friends with him would he just come this way.
Will you fight for the lady, sir?
No, sir, but I'll have her notwithstanding. Thou peerless princess of Kentish plains, envied by nymphs and worshipped by swains.
Sir, not fight for her.
Prithee be quiet, I shall be out. Thou peerless Melinda of Kentish plains, envied by nymphs and worshipped by swains.
Oh, don't mind him, madam. I'll show you the difference. Come, madam. We'll place you between us, and now the longest sword carries her.
Oh, Mr. Worthy, save me from these madmen.
Why don't you follow, sir, and fight the bold ravisher?
No, sir, you're my man.
I don't like the wages. I won't be your man.
Save ye, gentlemen.
My dear, I'm yours.
Do you know this gentleman?
No, but I will presently. Your name, my dear?
Wilful. Jack Wilful, at your service.
What? The Sussex Wilfuls or those of Staffordshire?
Both, sir, both. I'm related to all the Wilfuls in Europe, and I'm head of the family at present.
Do you live in this country, sir?
Yes, sir. I live where I stand. I have neither home, house, nor habitation beyond this spot of ground.
What are you, sir?
A rake.
In the army, I presume?
No, but intend to list immediately. Look ye, gentlemen, he that bids me fairest has me.
Sir, I'll prefer you. I'll make you a corporal this minute.
A corporal? I'll make you my companion. You shall eat with me.
You shall drink with me.
You shall lie with me, you young rogue.
Oh!
You shall receive your pay and do no duty. Can you read and write, sir?
Yes.
Then your business is done. I'll make you a chaplain to the regiment.
Your promises are so equal that I'm at a loss to choose. There is one Plume that I hear much commended in town. Pray, which of you is Captain Plume?
I am Captain Plume.
No, I'm Captain Plume.
Sir, if you
I will
please.
list with Captain Plume. I'm a free-born Englishman and will be a slave my own way. And I will tell you, Captain Brazen, that you are an ignorant, pretending, impudent coxcomb.
Sir, he in the plain coat is Captain Plume. I'm his sergeant, and I will take my oath on.
What, you are Sergeant Kite?
At your service.
Then I would not take your oath for a farthing.
A very understanding youth of his age. Pray, sir, give me leave to salute you.
Oh, what? Men kiss one another?
Oh, we officers do. It's our way of life. We live together like man and wife. Always either kissing or fighting. But I see a storm coming.
How dare you contend for anything and not dare to draw your sword? But you're a young fellow and have not been much abroad. I excuse that. But resign the man. Prithee do, you're a very honest fellow.
You lie, you're a son of a whore.
Hold, did you not refuse to fight for the lady?
But for a man, I'll fight knee-deep, so you lie again.
Hold. Where is the man?
Gone.
Then what do we fight for? Now, let's embrace, my dear.
Oh, with all my heart. I suppose Kite has listed him by this time.
You're a brave fellow. I always fight with a man before I make him my friend. And now, I'll tell you a secret, my dear friend. That lady we frighted out of the walk just now, I had an assignation with her here. But you're coming sport my sport. Curse ye, my dear. Don't do so again.
No. Men are my business at present.
Had I but a commission in my pocket, I fancy my breeches would become me as well as any ranting fellow of them all. For I take a bold step, a rakish toss, and an impudent air to be the principal ingredients in the composition of a captain. What's here? Rose, my nurse's daughter. I'll go and practise. Come, child, kiss me at once. Suppose I were a captain, would you be content to list, friend?
No. Though your worship be an handsome man, there be others as fine as you. My brother is engaged to Captain Plume.
Plume? Do you know Captain Plume?
Oh, yes, I do. And he knows me. He took the very ribbons out of his shirt sleeves and put them in my shoes. See there? I can assure you that I can do anything with a captain.
So, and pray, what do you expect from this captain, child?
I expect, sir. But he ordered me to tell nobody. But suppose that he should propose to marry me.
You should have a care, my dear. Men will promise anything beforehand.
I know that. But he promised to marry me afterwards.
Afterwards? After what?
After I had sold him my chickens. I hope there's no harm in that.
What? Mr. Wilful, so close with my market woman?
I'll try if he loves her. Closer? Aye, and closer yet, sir. Come, my pretty maid. You and I will withdraw a little.
No, no, friend. I hadn't done with her yet.
Nor have I begun with her, so I have as good a right as you have.
Thou art a bloody impudent
Sir,
fellow.
I would qualify myself for the service.
Hast thou really a mind to the
Yes,
service?
sir. So let her go.
Oh, pray, gentlemen, don't be so violent.
Come, leave it to the girl's own choice. Will you belong to me or to that gentleman?
Let me consider. You're both very handsome.
Now the natural inconstancy of her sex begins to work.
Pray, sir, what will you give me?
Give thee, child. I'll set thee above scandal. You shall have a coach with 6 before and 6 behind.
That's easily done. I'll do more for thee, child. I'll buy you a flounced scarf and give you a ticket to see a play.
A play? Oh, I'd like to see a play.
Looky, Captain, if you won't resign, I'll go list with Captain Brazen this minute.
Will you list with me if I give up my title?
I will.
Take her. I'll change a woman for a man at any time.
I have heard before, indeed, that you captains used to sell your men.
No, give me thy hand. This gentleman is one of us, and will be kind to you, Miss Rose.
But will you be so kind to me, sir, as the captain would?
I can't be altogether so kind to you. My circumstances are not so good as the captain's, but I'll take care of you, upon my word.
Aye, we'll all take care of her. She shall live like a princess. But what's become of this same cartwheel you told me of, my dear?
I'll go fetch him. Shall I find you at home, noble captain?
Yes. And now, sir, here are your 40 shillings.
Captain Plume, I despise your listing money. If I do serve, 'tis purely for love. Of that wench, I mean. But before I list, I must be certified that this girl is a virgin.
Mr. Wilful, I can't tell you how you can be certified in this point till you try, but upon my honour, she may be a vestal for aught I know to the contrary. I gained her heart, indeed, by some trifling presents and promises. Kiss the prettiest country wenches, and you are sure of listing the lustiest fellows. Oh, the fatigue of recruiting is so intolerable that unless we could make ourselves some pleasure amidst the pain, no mortal man would be able to bear it.
Well, sir, I'm satisfied as to the point in debate. But now let me beg you to lay aside your recruiting airs. Put on the man of honour, and tell me plainly what usage I must expect when I'm under your command.
Your usage will chiefly depend upon your behaviour. Only this you must expect, that if you commit a small fault, I will excuse it. If a great one, I'll discharge you. For something tells me I shall not be able to punish you.
And something tells me that if you do discharge me, 'twill be the greatest punishment you can inflict. For were we this moment to go upon the greatest dangers in your profession, they would be less terrible to me than to stay behind you. And now your hand. This lists me. And now you are my captain.
Your friend? 'Sdeath, there's something in this fellow that charms me.
One favour I must beg. This affair will make some noise, and I have some friends that would censure my conduct. I must therefore take care to be impressed by the Act of Parliament. You shall leave that to me.
What you please as to that. Will you lodge at my quarters in the meantime? You shall have part of my bed.
No, Captain. You forget Rose. She's to be my bedfellow, you know.
I had forgot. Pray, be kind to her.
If any gentlemen soldiers, or others, have a mind to serve Her Majesty and pull down the French King, let them repair to the noble Sergeant Kite at the sign of the compasses.
May it please your worships, we took these two in the very act. Re infecta, sir. The gentleman indeed behaved himself like a gentleman, for he drew his sword and swore, and afterwards laid it down and said nothing.
Give the gentleman his sword again, Constable, and wait you without. I'm sorry, sir, to know a gentleman upon such terms, that the occasion of our meeting should prevent the satisfaction of an acquaintance.
Sir, you need make no apology for your warrant, no more than I shall do for my behaviour. My innocence is upon an equal foot with your authority.
Innocence? Have you not seduced that young maid?
No, sir. She seduced me.
What? Well, then you are married, child?
Yes, sir, to my sorrow.
Well, who was the witness? Who was the minister?
Minister? We were married by the Articles of War.
But hush, child. Your appearance, sir, promises some understanding. Pray, what does she mean?
Among soldiers 'tis most sacred. Our sword, you know, is our honour. That we lay down, the hero jumps over it first, and the Amazon after. Leap rogue, follow whore. The drum beats a ruff, and so to bed. That's all. The ceremony is concise.
Your name, pray, sir?
Captain Pinch. I cock my hat with a pinch. I take snuff with a pinch. Pay my whores with a pinch. In short, I can do anything at a pinch but fight and fill my belly.
Well, and pray, sir, what brought you into Kent?
A pinch, sir. I knew you country gentlemen want wit, and you know that we town gentlemen want money, and so...
I understand you, sir. Here, Constable, take this gentleman into custody until further orders.
It shall be done, sir. Come along, sir.
Oh, pray your worship, don't be uncivil to him, for he did me no hurt. He's the most harmless man in the world, for all he talks so.
Pray, Mr. Worthy, how long have you been in this travelling humour?
'Tis natural, madam, for us to avoid what disturbs our quiet. There must be charms in variety, madam, else neither you nor I should be so fond of it.
You mistake, Mr. Worthy. I'm not so fond of variety as to travel for it, nor do I think it prudence in you to run yourself into a certain expense and danger in hopes of precarious pleasures which at best never answer expectation. Most travellers long more to return to their own country than they ever did to go abroad.
What pleasures I may receive abroad are indeed uncertain, but this I am sure of. I shall meet with less cruelty among the most barbarous nations than I have found at home.
Come, sir. You and I have been jangling a great while. I fancy if we made up our accounts, we should the sooner come to an agreement.
Oh, sure, madam. You won't dispute your being in my debt. My fears, sighs, vows, anxieties, jealousies have run on for a whole year without any payment.
A year? Oh, Mr. Worthy, what you owe to me is not to be paid under a 7 years' servitude. How did you use me the year before, when, taking advantage of my innocence and necessity, you would have made me your mistress, that is, your slave? Remember the wicked insinuations, deceitful arguments, cunning pretences, then your impudent behaviour, loose expressions, familiar letters, rude visits. Remember those? Those, Mr. Worthy.
I do remember, and I'm sorry I made no better use of them. But you may remember, madam,
Sir, I'll remember nothing. 'Tis your interest that I should forget. You have been barbarous to me, I have been cruel to you. Let one balance the other. Now, if you will begin upon a new score, lay aside your adventuring airs, and behave yourself handsomely. Here's my hand. I use you as a gentleman should be.
And if I don't use you as a gentlewoman should be, may this be my poison.
Pray, who are those honourable gentlemen upon the bench?
He in the middle is Justice Balance. He on the right is Justice Scale. And he on the left is Justice Scruple. And I am Mr. Constable, for very honest gentlemen.
Oh dear, sir. I am your most obedient servant, Mr. Constable.
Ah, Captain Plume, you're welcome.
Gentlemen, I thank you.
Come, honest captain, sit by me. Now, produce your prisoners. Here, that fellow there, set him up.
May it please the worshipful bench, I desire to be heard in this case, as being the consul for the Queen.
Sergeant, you shall be heard.
This man is but one man. The country may spare him, and the army wants him. Besides, he's cut out by nature for a grenadier. He's 5 feet 10 inches high, and he shall box, wrestle, or dance the Cheshire round with any man in the county. He gets drunk every Sabbath day, he beats his wife, and he has 5 children.
A wife and 5 children, you constable, you rogue. How durst you impress a man that has wife and 5 children? Discharge him, discharge him.
Hold, gentlemen. Hark ye, friend, how do you maintain your wife and 5 children?
Well, they live upon the wildfowl and venison, sir. The husband keeps a gun and kills all the hares and partridges within a 5-mile round.
A gun? Nay, if he's so good at gunning, he'll have enough on it. He may be of use against the French, for he shoots flying, to be sure.
But his wife and children, Mr. Balance.
The parish had better maintain 5 children this year than 6 or 7 the next. That fellow, upon his high feeding, may get you 2 or 3 beggars at a birth.
Send the man immediately
I'll
to
take
be...
care of him, if you please.
Here, Constable, bring in my man. Now, Captain, I'll fit you with a man such as you ne'er listed in your life. Oh, my friend Pinch, I'm very glad to see you.
Well, sir, and what then?
What then? Is that your respect to the bench?
Sir, I don't care a farthing for you, nor your bench neither.
That's enough. He's a very impudent fellow, unfit for a soldier.
Oh, a notorious rogue, I say, and a whoremaster, and therefore very fit for a soldier.
What think you, Captain?
I think he's a very pretty fellow, and therefore fit to serve.
Me for a soldier? Send your own lazy, lubberly sons at home. Fellows that hazard their necks every day in pursuit of a fox, yet dare not peep abroad to look an enemy in the face.
May it please your worships, I have a woman at the door to swear a rape against this
Oh, is it
rogue.
your wife or daughter, booby?
Pray, Captain, read the Articles of War and we'll see him listed immediately.
Articles of war against mutiny and
Hold,
desertion.
sir. Once more, gentlemen, have a care what you do, for you shall severely smart for any violence you offer to me. And you, Mr. Balance, I speak to you particularly, you shall heartily repent it.
Pray, gentlemen, don't mind him. He's distracted.
'Tis false. I'm descended of as good a family as any in your county. My father is as good a man as any upon your bench, and I am heir to £1,200 a year.
Well, he's certainly mad. Pray, Captain, read the Articles of War.
Hold once more. Pray, Mr. Balance, to you I speak. Suppose I were your child. Would you use me at this rate?
No, faith. Were you mine, I'd send you to Bedlam first, and into the army afterwards.
But consider my father, sir. He's as good, as generous, as brave, as just a man as ever served his country. I'm his only child. Perhaps the loss of me may break his heart.
He's a very great fool if it does. Captain, if you don't list him this minute, I shall leave the court.
Kite, distribute the levy money.
Aye, sir.
Ah, very well. Now, Captain, let me beg you not to discharge this fellow upon any account whatsoever. There needs to be no great ceremony in adjourning the court. Captain, you should dine with me.
Many thanks.
We did not miss her till the evening, sir, and in searching for her in the chamber that was my young master's, we found her clothes there, but the suit that your son left in the press when he went to London was gone.
The white, trimmed with silver.
The same.
You hadn't told the circumstance to anybody?
To none but your worship.
And be sure you don't. Go into the dining room and tell Captain Plume I beg to speak with him.
I shall.
Was ever a man so imposed upon? I had her promise indeed that she would never dispose of herself without my consent. I have consented with a witness, given her away as my act and my deed, and this, I warrant, the captain thinks will pass. No, I shall never pardon him the villainy, first of robbing me of my daughter, and then the mean opinion he must have of me to think I could be so wretchedly imposed upon. Well, her extravagant passion might encourage her in the attempt, but the contrivance must be his. I'll know the truth presently. Ah, pray, Captain, what have you done with your young gentleman soldier?
He's at my quarters, I suppose, with the rest of my men.
Oh, does he keep company with the common soldiers?
No, he's generally with me.
Oh, he lies with you, I presume.
No, Faith. I offered him part of my bed, but the young rogue fell in love with Rose and has lain with her, I think, since he came to town.
Oh, so that between you both, Rose has been finely managed.
Upon my honour, sir, she had no harm from me.
Ooh, all safe, I find. Now, Captain, you must know that the young fellow's impudence in court was well grounded. He said I should heartily repent of his being listed, and so I do, from my soul.
I? For what reason?
Because he is no less than what he said he was, born of as good a family as any in this county, and is heir to £1,200 a year.
I'm very glad to hear it, for I wanted but a man of that quality to make my company a perfect representative of the whole of the Commons of England.
Won't you discharge him?
Not under £100 sterling.
Well, you shall have it, for his father is my intimate friend.
Oh, then you shall have him for nothing.
No, sir, you shall have your price.
Not a penny, sir. I value an obligation to you much above £100.
Perhaps, sir, you shan't repent your generosity. Will you please to write his discharge in my pocket-book? In the meantime, we'll send for the gentleman. Steward, go to the captain's lodging and inquire for Mr. Wilful. Tell him his captain wants him here immediately.
Sir, the gentleman's below inquiring for the captain.
Bid him come up. Here's the discharge, sir.
Sir, I thank you. 'Tis plain he had no hand in it.
I think, Captain, you might have used me better than to leave me yonder among your swearing, drunken crew. And you, Mr. Justice, might have been so civil as to have invited me to dinner, for I have eaten with as good a man as your worship.
Sir, you must charge our want of respect upon our ignorance of your quality. But now you're at liberty. I have discharged you.
Discharged me?
Yes, sir. And you must once more go home to your father.
My father? Then I'm discovered. Oh, sir, I expect no pardon.
Pardon? No, child. Your crime shall be your punishment. Here, Captain, I deliver her over to the conjugal power for her chastisement. Well, since she will be a wife, be you a husband, a very husband. When she tells you of her love, upbraid her with her folly, and use her worse than you would anybody else, because you can't use her so well as she deserves.
And are you Sylvia, in good earnest?
Earnest? I have gone too far to make it a jest, sir.
And do you give her to me in good earnest?
If you please to take her, sir.
Why, then, I have saved my legs and arms and lost my liberty. Secure from wounds, I'm prepared for the gout. Farewell, subsistence, and welcome taxes. Sir, my liberty and hopes of being a general are much dearer to me than your £1,200 a year. But to your love, madam, I resign my freedom, and to your beauty, my ambition, greater in obeying at your feet than commanding at the head of an army.
I'm sorry to hear, Mr. Balance, that your daughter is lost.
But I am not, sir, since an honest gentleman has found her.
Pray, Mr. Balance, what's become of my cousin Sylvia?
Your cousin Sylvia is talking yonder with your cousin Plume.
Really?
Do you think it's strange, cousin, that a woman should change? But I hope you'll excuse a change that has proceeded from constancy. I altered my outside because I was the same within, and only laid by the woman to make sure of my man. That's my history.
Your history is a little romantic, cousin, but since success has crowned your adventures, you will have the world on your side, and I shall be willing to go with the tide, provided you pardon an injury offered you in the letter to your father.
That injury, madam, was done to me, and the reparation I expect shall be made to my friend. Make Mr. Worthy happy, and I shall be satisfied.
A good example, sir, will go a great way. When my cousin is pleased to surrender, 'tis probable I shan't hold out much longer.
Captain, I have got loose once more, and I've persuaded my sweetheart, Cartwheel, to go with us. But you must promise not to part with me again.
I find Miss Rose has not been pleased with her bedfellow.
Bedfellow? I don't know whether I had a bedfellow or not.
Don't be in a passion, child. I was as little pleased with your company as you could be with mine.
I have promised, madam, to provide for this girl. Now, will you be pleased to let her wait upon you, or shall I take care of her?
She shall be my charge, sir. You may find it business enough to take care of me.
If any gentleman, or others, have a mind to serve Her Majesty and pull down the French King, if any apprentices have severe masters, any children have undutiful parents, if any servants have too little wages, or any husband too much wife, let them repair to the noble Sergeant Kite at the side of the compasses in this good town of Tunbridge Wells. They shall receive present relief and entertainment.
The Reduced Recruiting Officer by George Farquar, abbreviated and adapted for audio by Kirrie Wratten. Melinda was played by Anais Baker. Constable Bridewell and Mr. Worthy by Mike Clarke. Sylvia by Kate Dellow. Rose by Hayley Emin. Sergeant Kite by Luke Morrison. Mr. Balance by Ralph Miller. Captain Plume by Matthew Springett. And Mr. Scruple and Captain Brazen by Danny Williams. Other parts played by members of the cast. The technical producer was Jason Lower and the director was Kirrie Wratten. It was a TTC production in association with Trinity Theatre.